Josh, you were the longtime CTO at Mailgun, which was recently acquired by Cinch. Would you say you're a pretty good person to ask some of our customer questions surrounding email deliverability?
I think so. I think 8 years plus or minus in the email world probably qualifies me to have a little bit of information about email deliverability.
How do links, GIFs, videos affect deliverability?
Great question. So I think first and foremost, you should avoid link shorteners like Bitly. While they're really convenient for a number of use cases, bad actors tend to use things like link shorteners where there's multiple levels of redirect. And sometimes, not every time, but sometimes these services can cause messages to get penalized, junked, or even flagged as malicious if you're using them. So I think in general, what I always recommend is use one domain, typically your corporate domain where you're pointing everything out to in terms of actual links. Edited images shouldn't have an issue with inboxing, but you do want to make sure that you're careful not introducing a bunch of images with copy. Oftentimes, bad actors try to put a bunch of copy into images to try to fly under the radar. Best practice would be to keep the copy in text if possible to optimize your email deliverability.
Josh, if you are sending a video and email, is there a better way to send it? Link, GIF, embedded HTML? What do you think?
Yeah, I think right now, if you're trying to maximize client compatibility, the best way to send videos is to have GIFs that are linked out to a separate site. Embedded HTML video, super nascent right now. Many clients don't support it. If you're trying to strive for optimal usability across each and every client, you want to make sure that you're using GIFs that link out to videos.
Josh, are there any nuances to consider?
Oh, yes. So I think first and foremost, you only want to engage with users who have given you explicit consent, who are expecting to receive email messages from you. I think the other practice that I recommend is making sure that you sunset inactive users who are not engaging. The more you are sending messages that are getting positive engagement, i.e. clicks, opens, reads, etc., the better inbox placement that you're going to have and the better deliverability you're going to have. More generally, you should always avoid buying email lists, purchase lists.
Those are bad.
Stay away. You're going to have a really, really bad day if you're trying to purchase lists and contacts.
There are people that their businesses that give you warm leads or lead generation type stuff. How do they stay in business?
You have to be careful. There are certain businesses that can generate leads in a very ethical way, but many of them fly by night. I've seen many companies that enter the scene, they're there for 3 months and they're gone. So you just have to be really, really careful and make sure that you understand if you're hiring somebody else to source leads, that they're doing it in an ethical way that is not going to damage your reputation.
How can you track that you're doing everything right on email deliverability and the things that we're talking about? How does that get done?
Yeah, well, things are changing. Apple has been at the forefront with a lot of privacy initiatives with their MPP, and MPP and increasingly other clients, they are blocking open pixels, which traditional email marketers have used for decades to help determine engagement. Increasingly, that signal is becoming less and less valuable the more of these privacy proxies that get implemented that completely block this feedback loop. So ultimately, for an email marketer, you have to look at the funnel a lot more holistically. How many actual clicks are you driving through your email messages? Increasingly, that is becoming one of the few reliable signals that you have as an email marketer.
Wow, clicks.
And I think you have to go a step further and not just look at the click, but look at the funnel and the conversion rate beyond the email message itself. But I think that's the number one thing that you can look at. I think beyond that, certainly Gmail Postmaster tools or other specific tools that you can use to better assess your email deliverability and your reputation. But I think opens, unique opens, increasingly not valuable in measuring your health.
2 years ago, opens and unique opens is kind of what you want to see.
Yes.
Not anymore. Josh, let's say you've totally messed up and ruined your domain. Is there anything you can do, or do you just scrap that domain and start over?
Yeah, so I think rehabilitation, where you're using your corporate domain, is always the preferred approach. So when I say rehabilitation, that generally means you're going to start with a very small, limited volume of messages. You're going to send your most engaged active users to start incrementally rewarming up that domain, getting your reputation back to where it needs to be. I think when you are rotating and moving through domains, that is a bad signal for the algorithms that are trying to classify your messages, and you look like a bad actor who might be trying to do something that you shouldn't be doing. So take a step back, start with rehabilitation, and just incrementally work your way up.